Our recent report on the pay raise of Governor Kristi Noem's daughter, who works in her office, has tens of thousands of you talking.
But the practice of employing family is a long-standing tradition in the governor's office in South Dakota. KELOLAND's Angela Kennedy joins us now with how an effort to enact anti-nepotism laws in South Dakota failed in the last legislative session.
Well, Bridget, more than 30 states have some kind of anti-nepotism law when it comes to state government officials. Most prohibit officials from hiring a relative to work directly under them. I checked. North Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa all have anti-nepotism laws. South Dakota tried to get one off the ground last year, which was based on North Dakota's law, but it never made it out of committee.
Senate Bill 39 was unanimously defeated in the Senate State Affairs Committee. It was introduced by former Republican Senator Stace Nelson, who recently retired from his position. Nelson came forward with the bill after seeing our original KELOLAND News report on Governor Noem's hiring of Kennedy Noem in 2018.
When the KELOLAND News story came out about this situation, where our governor, who ran on a campaign of coming to Pierre to combat the culture of corruption that so many of us understand is here, when one of her first things that official acts was to hire a daughter, it made statewide news across the state. And again, I was in an uncomfortable position of someone who I've supported over these years doing something that I knew was inherently wrong.
Nelson said he had supported Governor Dugard's practice of hiring relatives, but heard from his constituents after the Noem story came out and changed his mind.
Nepotism is government corruption. That's a fact. South Dakota, unfortunately, has a long history of this. And unfortunately, we have a lot of Stace Nelsons that have turned a blind eye to it over the years because of partisan purposes.
Senator Lance Russell of Rapid City testified that he disagreed with Governor Dugard, making his son-in-law, Tony Van Huysen, his chief of staff.
We had someone as chief of staff that was related to the governor. And I felt that it wasn't a good situation from a number of standpoints, as you're trying to negotiate with the governor with someone that potentially he cannot fire or discipline for whatever reason.
While no opponents to the bill testified before the committee members like Senator Brock Greenfield were against it. Greenfield is from the same district as Governor Noem, and the two served in the state house together.
And I know that she's a woman of integrity, and she's a woman of faith, and she wears that faith on her sleeve. And I do believe she'll hold her daughter or her relatives who happen to be elected to account. And I believe she will hire and fire them accordingly. I have it on good authority that she did choose to fire one of her family members somewhere along the way.
Senator Greenfield argued taking family members out of the applicant pool would hurt South Dakota.
Is South Dakota any better by limiting the pool of who is available to work in state government? As was pointed out before, everybody has relatives that they serve with or under or for or over, and it's pretty hard to find that degree of separation that would make anybody 100% innocent of what's being, I guess, alleged here.
Legislators on the Senate State Affairs Committee also said an anti-nepotism law would mean that legislators couldn't bring in relatives to work as pages at the Capitol. When Senator Rounds was governor, he also employed family members, and dozens of them worked within state government. Last year in Iowa, Governor Reynolds came under fire for appointing her father to a state panel to vet judicial candidates. His position is unpaid. Iowa's law, however, only stops officials from hiring a relative to work in their office or agency, although there are some exceptions.
All right, Angela, thank you for that report.